Another member of Florida State's 22 signing class on the offensive line, a big offensive line class for Florida State is expected this year. It's been a position of need. We all know that, and they've gone out and really done a good job, I think, of bringing an offensive lineman in this class. Kanaya Charlton is not one of the highest rated one. He's a 3-star prospect out of Brunswick, Georgia. He is a huge individual, though. He's 6'4", 333 pounds. Dominic, you watch these guys from a trained eye, as a guy who's a trainer, performance trainer out in Arizona, but also a former Florida State football player, and also a guy who has helped some college staffs with evaluating players. When you look at Kanaya Charlton physically, it's kind of overwhelming how big he is, but he obviously is not going to move quite as well as some of these other offensive linemen Florida State's signing. How do you kind of evaluate when you look at a guy like Kanaya Charlton, his size versus what he maybe doesn't have athletically against some of these other guys, at least from my viewpoint?
Yeah, I want to say first off, when I assess these guys, I never take into account their stars. I don't know the person who decides that. I don't know that. I watch it just strictly from the standpoint of, if I was on a college staff and I was, and I'm sitting in my staff meeting with my guys, this is how we would communicate. When will this guy be ready to play for us? Is that sort of, my rating system is, when will this guy play for us? How ready will he be? And then what do we need to do to get him to that point? So I kind of want to point that out. The thing that I see, when I watch him, is his very first clips on his highlight. He goes skip, pull, and seek and destroy. And that's at 330 pounds as a 17, 16-year-old kid. I love it, man. I think that was intentional. He's got some smart people, whoever's putting together his highlight, whether that's him or his dad or his coach, to show him moving right out the gate is a big deal, Now, I do believe when he gets to college, that's, they're going to right away try to alleviate some of that weight and try to get him to cut some weight and, unload some of the bad fat and put on some of that good muscle. But this is a guy I thought was very close to Daughtry Richardson in terms of my evaluation. I had him at a 2.2. Which is obviously a guy that's going to redshirt, and it's going to take some time because he's going to have to learn how to play with his new weight and all of that stuff. But this is a guy that, man, he's a good-looking lineman. And to see him move, it tells me he has the athleticism that you're looking for when you're trying to, add to your team. You want to always get as athletic as you can possibly be. And just because he's 330 pounds doesn't mean that he's not an athlete and that he's not athletic. He doesn't have to be big and slow. He can be big and fast. He could be big and athletic. And he looks like a guy that can move. He's definitely going to have to lose some of that weight in order to move at the level of an ACC, lineman. But he's certainly, he shows the athleticism that he just already naturally has. So getting in a college program, strength program, nutritional program, athleticism training program is going to be big for him. And I think, he's a guy that will contribute, 2-3 years into his career.
So when a guy is that size and he's not really doing it in those clips, they're not running the kind of offense where he's just leaning on guys. But because he is so much bigger than everybody else, can you get a feel for whether or not he's going to play with leverage and do the things he's going to need to do when he's maybe slimmed down 30 or 35 pounds?
Yeah, it's hard to tell. You have to spend as much time as you can. And that's one reason why, as a college coach, you never just lean on just highlights. Right. I need to watch a game. I need to watch multiple games, and I probably need to go see him in person and watch how he moves, in drills, so that I can get an idea of, can he do the things that we do in our offense? So, yeah, it's hard to tell. That's why, these clips are really important, and they're just a piece. They're just a small piece. They're not as big of a piece as most, I think, outsiders think, in terms of, oh, man, you watch one highlight and you're just ready to offer a kid. I think some people actually think that that's how it goes. And it's not. We want to see the versatility as college coaches. You want to see, how does he reach block? How does he pull? How does he work a down block? How does he work a double team? How does he pass pro? There's multiple things that we need to see as college coaches. So, the evaluation is much bigger than just a highlight, and that definitely grabs attention of guys, but it takes a lot more to make a good player than just a highlight.
Last thing I wanted to ask you about him, and this isn't specifically about Kanaya, but it's about offensive linemen in general. How important is intelligence? We've talked about that a little bit off of air, but just in terms of learning what's required of an offensive lineman at this level compared to maybe what they're asked to do sometimes in high school.
Yeah, the strain that's put on, the mental strain that's put on offensive linemen at the college level is tenfold than the strain of most typical high school offenses. There are some out there that are very complex and complicated, and they're great sort of transitioners into the college game. But there's some that, they look at a guy like a Kanaya and they go, all right, you're 330 pounds. Just do what you do. Just lean on the guy. And we're going to win on most plays if you do that. You're going to be bigger than everybody, every opponent, and there's not going to be an opponent stronger than you. So yeah, a college offensive lineman, it's one of the biggest, obviously the size component is one reason why they have to redshirt, but I think more than anything, learning the game is probably bigger than guys gaining size or gaining strength. They're asked to do so much more in pass protection, and because your pass protection always relates to the defense. So you have to also understand the defense and the defensive front. Then you have to understand the blitzes. Where are they coming from? Where are they simulating that they're coming from? And how does that relate to how I do my job? And on top of that, I then have a certain technique that coaches ask me to do that I have to carry out. So it's a lot more difficult. There's a lot more that goes into it than, oh man, you're big, you're 330 pounds. Now we're good. We're going to win, at the college level. So a lot of these guys, they have a huge learning curve. And that's why I say most offensive linemen are going to need the red shirt.
Well, the nice thing is, like you said, I mean, you seem very high on Kanaya Charlton and his athletic ability for his size. So another nice piece of Florida State's 2022 signing class.